apartment. Oh, wait, never mind. Fluffy says that it's he's smudging the house. Yep, smudging the house. He's been stressing how important it is to indulge in psychic hygiene. Yep, move that energy. Well, okay, I'm gonna go over here and chew on Fluffy's foot. I'm gonna go smudge the foot so it smells better, get rid of all that bad juju. You don't want his other foot to fall off. Remember, look us up on With the Fluff. Love ya. Bye. Ow.
Sarah had been trying to write a book for ages, but she was still on page 1. Until she discovered SpeakYourOwnBook.com. Sarah teamed up with one of our trained writing coaches, who listened to Sarah's book idea, asked the right questions, and guided Sarah every step of the way. In 90 minutes, they had written the outline for Sarah's entire book. Within weeks, using the speak writing method, Sarah became a published author, both online and in print. Whether it's a textbook, an autobiography, a novel, or a children's book, SpeakYourOwnBook.com can help.
Yeah!
Visit our website today to download our free 50-question guide and schedule your free consultation. With Speak Writing, anyone can publish a book. Speak your own book today. You speak, we write.
Lord of Midwinter Invocation. Cernunos Seculos Santa Claus, Lord of Midwinter, give us pause to think of you upon this night and contemplate our heart's delight. For you are the giver of gifts held dear, who rules the decline of the dying year, when we look within and try to see our heart's secret and hidden mystery. Dreams and visions you inspire, revealing in the midnight hour what is hidden from the eyes of day, and the conscious mind has shut away. Inspiration's spark and our soul's small voice, which guides us and inspires our choice, if we can but still our mind and hear. Of all gifts we will hold this most dear. For in the still of the longest night, when the moon provides the only light, you too, old Lord, will look inside, to see what your own soul may hide, and there within your own small spark will be rekindled and banish the dark, as the reborn sun again ascends, and days grow long till winter ends.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Yule Marathon. And we're with one of our sponsors, Pirellian Publishing, and the Reverend Don Lewis, as you know. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Witch School books. And so, first of all, hi, Don. How you doing? I know
Hello,
that
I'm very good.
many people in the audience know you, but some don't. Can you give a really brief scenario of who you are?
I'm Reverend Don Lewis. I am the Chancellor of the Corellian Nativist Church. I am the Chairman of Corellian Educational Ministries and witchschool.com, our seminary. I am the production head for Magic TV, and I am also in charge of Corellian Publishing.
And that's what we're going to talk about today. So it is interesting that you're into publishing. People think about a publishing house being very difficult to establish. It took you a long time to get there.
Well, that's true. It did take us a long time to get here, but part of that has to do with the changes in technology. Many years ago, it was very difficult to found a publishing house. Today, with the technology we have now, it's much easier to publish a book, to publish a group of books, than it's ever been really at any time in history. And it's still all of the work involved in writing it and editing it, but the printing of it is no longer the difficulty it once was, because it used to be that you had to print a whole big run all at once. And today you can print even one single copy if you want to, or small runs, which was not available before.
Well, that makes absolute sense and everything else. And so you're bringing back out the Witch School books under your own publishing house.
Yes.
They were formerly with Llewellyn. And before that, if I understand, we saw you self-publish. The school self-published its original set.
Witch School originally self-published their books. At one time, they were available in a comb-bound version. If you have one of those, it's a bit of a collector's item now. A revised version came out through Llewellyn, and these are revised again, and in some cases, considerably revised. And so that, on one hand, they're the same material, but they're also expanded and updated.
Terrific. So what books do you have now available?
Well, we have Lessons for the First Degree,
Mm-hmm.
and as you can see, it has a number of things in the table of contents.
Mm-hmm.
It has illustrations. It has lots of writing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a book. But it is fully illustrated. It has charts where they're needed. It has illustrations of the different exercises that are included to help the student to understand how to do them. I think a little better than just from reading the writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the major differences from previous editions.
Well, also, doesn't it recognize, if I understand right, it's also got a recognition that makes it very different from the original Witch School First Degree?
Well, that's true. And it's good that you mentioned that. One of the things that has changed over the years in the Corellian tradition is how we are looking at the goddess. Our first priestess, Stephanie Leon Neal, really has led a bit of a revolution in our attitude toward goddess. Traditionally, most Wiccan groups look at the goddess as a triple goddess. We are now looking at the goddess as a fourfold goddess. We have evolved our understanding to include mother, matron, or maiden, mother, matron, and crone. And so 4 aspects rather than merely 3. And this was led by Lady Stephanie and other leading priestesses of the tradition. And it reflects really more of a woman's view of their relationship with goddess, and also how goddess is expressed in the world. So we feel it's a somewhat fuller view of goddess than previous. And that is a major, major change.
And then second degree.
Yes, we have second degree.
And these are coming both in hardcover and softcover, right?
They are. The 2 that I've shown so far are both hardcover, but we have a softback right here, Ritual in Theory and Practice, which is exactly what it sounds like. Second degree, obviously, is the lessons for second degree, and Ritual in Theory and Practice is also part of our second degree, or it stands alone perfectly well on its own, because it's about both the theory and the practice of particularly public ritual in temples, ritual at events, but it also would enrich private practice as well.
And now in the second degree, you've also made another major change in the idea that under sensitivity for a lot of people, you took out physiology, or
Yes, we removed the physiology section, or rather we altered it. It now focuses primarily on palmistry, whereas it formerly included a number of other forms of physiognomy that are basically outdated at this point. And some people felt that they were really not appropriate to the modern world. So it also made that particular chapter very, very long. So we revised it to focus on palmistry in particular, which is the most popular form of physiognomy.
And of course, it added a lot of color, and all of these have added color pictures in a way that older books did not have.
Yes. So, for example, we have charts in the palmistry section that illustrate where lines are, what the there we go.
There you go.
The different shapes of the hand and so forth. We have an astrology section, which includes all of the different astrological glyphs. We have a section that deals with hieroglyphic writing and also how to use it for divination, runes.
So this makes it very different than that. Then you have the ritual and theory.
Yes. Ritual
and,
and theory and practice.
and that hasn't changed very much.
No, it did not really change.
No.
It has been edited. So there's a small amount of change, but it does not have the kind of major changes the degree books have.
And now let's get to the third degree, which is a lot of people consider the best book of the series.
Yes. Many people have said that.
Even people of other traditions thought it was a strong entry for the third degree. And I think it answers the question. Everyone's Wicca 101, they argue that this is a much deeper book than that.
Yes, this one is the third degree deals with what Lady Bitterwind, our former first elder, used to call the witchness of the why.
Mm-hmm.
Why things are the way they are, how the universe is structured, why magic is what it is, why the soul is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It focuses very heavily on the deeper ideas behind the things that we do. All of the books do discuss these things, but third degree goes into far more detail. It also deals with far more advanced techniques, obviously, than the first two do. And it also talks about things like working with the community, running a group, etc., which are also very important things that are often ignored when people are teaching, because they tend to focus on theology and forget the practicality. So we tried to make sure that we address all of those things. And the third degree, obviously, it too has been updated. It has illustrations and so forth that were not previously there. Here's one illustrating the nature of the soul and its relationship to deity. So it deals with a lot of those deeper subjects that people so often comment on wanting to see. Both first and second degree deal with a lot of important information, and they deal with some of those deeper concepts at an introductory level, but third degree really goes into detail.
So where can they find these books?
You can find them at Corellian.com. I beg your pardon, at CorellianPublishing.com. You can find them at, and you can find them through Corellian.com. You can find them at Amazon as well.
And let me keep reminding everybody, if you're going to order from Amazon and your major organizations, a lot of the major pagan organizations, a lot of them have Amazon Cares, utilize that function. That is another way to get money into our community and to function well with it. So if you do order from Amazon, Amazon Cares.
Yes,
but it's
indeed.
different, I guess, ordering from Corellian Publishing, it comes more directly from you.
Yes, and also, if people request it, I will sign the book.
That's what I was going to ask and everything else. And so the books are individually ordered, and now you're going to also give a 4-book hardcover set?
Yes, the 4 books we've just discussed are available as a single set with a display box to keep them together. And it's first, second, third degree, and ritual and theory and practice that are part of that set.
All right. And these also synchronize with the Witch School system?
Yes.
At the Witch School,
Yes,
so,
they do.
And everything else. So there it is. So the Witch School thinks about that. So let me ask one question. I guess out of the ritual and practice, you have a Yule ritual in there.
Yes, we do.
That, what is your practice? Do you have any one practice that role that isn't necessarily in those, or how are you going to practice Yule this year?
Oh goodness. Well, you know, the thing that Yule and Midsummer both really represent to me, and is present in the Ritual and Theory and Practice book, is that when something reaches the height of its power, the moment when it is perfect, for want of a better way to word it, then it must change. Change is the constant of the universe. When we have come to that longest night, well, then the nights must grow shorter, because you can only go so far. Yin can only go so far before it has to turn back and become yang. Yang can only go so far before it turns back and becomes yin. That's why if you look at the Taijutsu image of yin and yang. You see them in that particular relationship to one another. And this is one of the underlying ideas of most metaphysics under different terms. So to me, the festival of Yule really is about the constant life and growth of the universe, the fact that it never stops.
And there you go. So ForellianPublishing.com, you can get these books out there, and you can go ahead and do it. And if you want to take the Witch School class, the first free, it's on witchschool.com.
Yes.
And so, yeah, there you go. Forellian Publishing, the 4 books out there ready. And now they're called Forellian. They're more reflecting of the Forellian. And so, yeah, and if you have any of the older books out there. Let me ask one last question for those people who are book collectors. Living the Wiccan Life.
Yes.
It's still available through Llewellyn, a few more copies, that sort of thing, I believe.
I'm not certain that it is, actually.
Okay, so if you see one, copy it, because when we do bring it out, it's going to be a new book. This is it.
Yeah.
It was so dedicated to its time. It's really a historical, Lady Crystal's historical story, I think, in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so
yeah.
So
if you have one, it will not be like the next one.
And so there you go. All righty, folks. So thank you. We're on to the next part of the marathon. I thank everybody out there. And remember, spend with your local community, and you're going to see the dollars expand with them. And that's what we're out here to do. Thank you, Reverend Don. And do you have any last words for the people?
Well, I want to wish everyone a happy Yuletide. Or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, a happy Midsummer.
Absolutely. And on to giving you another option for your Yuletide greetings for everybody. Remember, stock those stuffings.
Yes.
And we're back, and we're now speaking with Alexander Nemo of Atlantis Rising, author, psychic, energetic entity.
That's a nice way to put it.
That sort of thing. How you doing, Alexander?
Hi, how are you today? I'm so happy to be on your show.
Oh, thank you. And I think people are going to be happy to hear what you've got. So tell us a little bit about yourself. For the first time, a lot of people are probably seeing you for the first time.
It's one way to look at it, and it's sort of hard to miss with the white hair and the nose, but I've been doing readings and working in the field for 45 years. Mm-hmm. So been around for a while. I've had the privilege of growing up with 1 or 2 extraordinarily talented people who were literally walking masters. So what I do with the book and readings is my whole goal is to help people get out of their own way and progress on their own spiritual pathway.
And tell me about your book. What is your book? So
the book is called Magic Beginning the Path. And the reason I wrote it is that, like, after 30 years of working with students and answering the same questions 100 times over, it was just much easier to put it in a book. This way you can say, here's the information, here are the exercises where you can start getting results and start your healing pathway, and just makes life a lot simpler, especially when people get results right away.
And of course, you can find that right away. Remember, like I've always done, we're going to give out the web address where you can get it, alexandernemo.com, right off the bat and everything else. And so, yeah, I think people, especially this year, I think in 2023, we're seeing a lot more interest in magic. You're hearing from various surveys, from various places, that the belief in magic, not the belief in magic, I always say that, but the idea of practicing magic is on the rise.
It's coming back really, really strong again. There was a big resurgence in the 80s, and then it sort of faded away for a little bit, and now it's just back stronger and better than ever, because I think people are ready to take more culpability for their lives and also progress into that higher dimension where they're becoming more or connecting more with the divine spark, so it gives them a little bit more freedom.
I just heard it.
Okay.
What an interesting omen.
Yeah, really.
There you go, folks. And so you also do like readings and sort of work. Can you talk to us a little bit about your readings?
The readings, I started doing readings when I was about 13 or 14 years old. Mm-hmm. Now they progressed into either tarot or aura readings or straight clairvoyance, but it's a combination of everything. When people say, oh, what do you do? It's like, it's whatever's needed, really.
Mhm.
The readings are always based, or I try to get people to help themselves get out of their own way, because most people are really confused about what they're doing, or they think that life is written in stone. And it's very important that they realize that it's all a matter of choice. But once you have more information, you can make better choices. Just like when people say, "Oh, I'm always getting beat up," it's like, well, okay, well, stay out of the crack house and you won't get beat up anymore. People don't want to see the connection necessarily.
I think
And
that's hard for them to see sometimes, and a good reading can absolutely do that.
yeah,
Um,
that's the goal.
and I know that as we come into New Year, I think New Year's is always a great time, to get readings, right for the new year.
No, absolutely. It's a new perspective.
And so on that, you also mentioned past lives readings, and I'm hearing a lot of people are really getting fascinated by that. There's the public fascination, and I know every psychic always worries about trends, uh, versus like the trends or fads. But I do
Right.
see past lives readings becoming more popular in the coming year. Can you talk a little bit about what you do?
I think and I really try to stay away from actually doing past life readings, because for me, I have no way to verify that I'm right, except if something blatant comes up. But a past life reading, or giving people the information to start going after past lives, gives them more of a healing potential, or a deeper ability to see where certain connections are so they can fix things. There's a book called Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Weiss, and that is a awesome intro that turned the whole psychiatric world on its head, when it was written by a psychiatrist who didn't believe in any of this, who then just like blew the doors wide open. Because you're carrying so much stuff from past lives, and many of the things that are going on now are from then. And with that realization, you can start fixing them and not feel like you're broken.
And that's an important part, because people see readings. A lot of people always see readings like for predictions, and the idea of fortune telling, the sort of the arts of divination. But a lot of good readings are really healing experiences.
Healing experience, or even so many people will come and sit down and say, or after the reading, they'll say, "Oh my God, that's exactly what I thought, but you just verified what I was feeling anyway. I needed that extra push." And that's extraordinarily important, because it's validation of what a person already knew but didn't want to act on yet.
Right. And so your book, Magic for if I got
Magic Beginning the Path.
Beginning the Path. I think that's a hard thing for people to do. So I think a book about that is. Can you tell me, how do you get people to actually start on the path? What is it that they come to you that obviously you've been teaching it for a while?
What really makes the book extraordinarily good, in my own personal opinion, is that within the first couple of chapters, there's exercises for what's called energy reclamation. And I've seen people heal injuries that were 10, 20, 30 years old by starting to use energy reclamation within a couple of weeks. So when someone can sit down with an exercise that's simple to do, that they can do anywhere, anytime, and get results right away, I think that gives a lot of credence to the whole concept of energy and magic. Then they have to sit down and say, "Wow, gee, if that works, that means the next thing will work." And this book helps them snowball into their own proof. It's not a matter of listening to somebody else or what somebody else is doing. It's proving to them that they can do it.
So alexandernemo.com. That's a great book that you can give somebody who's starting, and
Yes.
give them a book of healing. And maybe you might be surprised what they become in 2023, given an opportunity to break open some of those limitations.
Absolutely. Because the last thing I want to say about it is, like, people think that becoming psychic is the goal, and it's not. Becoming psychic is the byproduct of you healing your own energy, karma, and psychological damage that's from God knows where, or God's nowhere.
Well, I think that's always repeatable, that the psychic is the byproduct, not the actual
Goal.
results. I think that's
Right.
important, because I'm a big believer that we are psychic in our own way. We all have these sort of intuitions. We have all of that, but really they go, "Oh, I'm not psychic," and you go, "Well." I always talk about what is the number one psychic exercise. I think every psychic is like, have you ever thought about someone and suddenly they called?
Right.
That connection. That's like the most common psychic experience I think a lot of people have had. And
Yeah.
so, but you're talking about if you heal, that connection to those people and people around you are important. And so,
Absolutely.
and readings. So they want a reading from you. They can go to your site. They can arrange it. But they also
Yes, sir, they can.
but you also work, you also can be met in person, and especially a lot of my audience is in Florida, and you were mentioning that you work with a circuit.
Oh, matter of fact, Florida or spiritfestfl.com or spiritfestusa.com. We're the largest metaphysical fair in Florida. We travel through all the major cities. We have one coming up in St. Pete in January 21st and 22nd, but we're all over the place. And there's so many great healers and vendors and craftspeople and lectures and classes. It's just the community is really coming together and coming out and wanting to learn more and make connections. And whenever I write up anything, I always like, come to Spirit Fest and find your tribe, because it's everyone looking for other people to talk to so they don't feel so isolated.
That's interesting. I mean, and I do think people, I think people got a more acute sense through our recent quarantine, through COVID, of what the value of that energetic connection is.
Absolutely.
And I think people are hungry for that sort of physical experience.
And it's a lot of, and also on any magical spiritual path, as you start growing up within your own path or within your system, you start seeing and thinking of the world differently. And unless you have other people to talk to, you end up feeling like an outcast, or you think that you can't possibly be right, because it goes against what most other people think about the world.
I think that's one of the most important things that it is. So as you're watching this out there, folks, and you're saying you found Pagan World TV through the Roku channel, or you've done it on what, you're going to find out there's a lot of people out there who do really want to help, and Alexandra is one of these people. Now, do you do online readings as well, or are you using the technology to connect?
I've done Zoom, lots of readings by phone. So yeah, it makes my life a lot simpler. I just did a reading for someone in France the other day. So that was a lot of fun, because the internet makes it so easy to connect with people. And also just my attitude about readings makes it different. So it's finally getting to the point where people are hunting me down for that, getting out of their own way thing, rather than, just tell me what's going to happen.
I think that's a very important distinction. So people who've had readings, so you're good for, especially for people who've had a couple of readings or even a number of readings.
Oh, yeah.
They've already had a lot of those experiences where, just tell me what it is, or they said this, or they said that. And now you're saying you do a much more directed reading if the client desires it.
Oh, sure. And what's really funny is a lot of my clients are other professional readers, because I'm not afraid to call them on their garbage. It's like they'll sit down and say, okay, fine, give it to me, because what are they going to do? Not come back? It's like, my job is to help people see, not to make them, friendly. Here you go.
So Alexander right here is a psychic for the psychics. That's a
lot of times, yes.
That's actually a really good place to be. Or how I phrase it, psychics and other psychics, you're the psychic that other psychics go to. There's a lot.
I always tell people I'm really good at what I do, because I understand how stupid I am, because I've seen people who are unbelievably talented. I'm like, wow, I'm still way, nowhere near there. So that humbleness and that understanding of my lack of information or lack of insight yet keeps me always striving for that next step, because I know that I'm stupid.
Fair enough. So let's go ahead and so is there any one thing, so somebody's listening, besides buying the book and your readings, which I want you to remember, people, I want you to empty your wallet towards the community, because why not? If you're going to spend the money, get some things that people really like. And if you have somebody who's wanting to start magic, this is a great book to do so. So, do that. I'm allowed to make the sales pitch. They won't do it for themselves sometimes. So.
Oh, no, yeah, definitely
not. So that sort of thing. But let me go ahead and talk about it. So if they want to do one practice, just kind of, begin their process, to begin to put a foot on that step. We've already told them how to spend the money, but what is it one thing they can do just for themselves that would really help people just start on their step?
I think more than anything else, I'd have to go with the Zen Buddhist concept or Taoist, where learning to be in the moment of now. In other words, sitting down in one spot and sitting on your patio with your cigar or lemonade or whatever, and just go through the things that aren't happening. It's like, I'm not sick, I'm not hungry, I'm not scared. And as you take away all those illusions and you finally come to being in this moment, people learn to see much differently. So that's probably a major thing, because that gives people a lot of freedom, because all of a sudden they start realizing what they're influenced by rather than really what's actually happening in their life.
That's good advice. I think that, and it's simple. It's a simple one, or it sounds simple. Trust me.
It sounds simple.
It does sound simple, and it's simple to begin.
And the more you do it, though, the easier it becomes. I'm like, you're only going to stay in that moment of now for maybe a couple of seconds. Hopefully the next time you do it, it'll be longer than that. Or if you're being upset or something is trying you, you'll be able to put yourself in and think, wow, I'm out of my moment, because even that realization is really important.
And that's a good thing. So do you have any Yule practices? I mean, I've been asking everybody what they're doing for Yule, Christmas, the holiday. Do you have anything that you do in particular?
Oh my God, for the solstice, I go out and I bake these a lemon saffron cake, which is actually a lemon cake that I make from scratch with lemon zest, and the liquid is infused with real saffron. So it gives you this gigantic aerial hit of energy, antidepressant. It tastes great, but it's an old Druidic recipe that I actually remembered. So
wow, no, that sounds delicious. I'm a big.
Oh, it's
lemon
awesome.
cake. I love a good lemon cake. I do.
Yeah, and the saffron just makes it. It just gives it that extra. Yeah.
Rarest ingredients in the world.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't need a lot of it. That's what's nice. It's like for $20 worth of saffron, you can make a lot of saffron cakes.
I bet. Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, I don't generally think of saffron in cakes. So.
Oh yeah, so it's awesome.
So I noticed. So in the last little bit, Atlantis Rising. Does it have a particular reference to it for you?
With that, I mean, the corporation actually started as a media and printing company, but then as I got more and more back into the community, it's now becoming more and more magical, pagan oriented and growth oriented. I have to pull down the website and rebrand it, but Atlantis, of course, is the overall symbol of that higher level of that growth, that, you know, the way things are supposed to be. Of course, before they blew up. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and they're starting to discover, people, that there were, there's this whole idea of it on there. So another time we're going to take on this Netflix show that talks about the ancient apocalypse. That everybody's screaming about right now. But there's we're learning a lot about humans and how they work, but equally as much where we're going. I think that is an important part. I think you're really a part of that history, and this idea of being on the path and getting that is a very important thing. So, as I always do, I'll give you the last word. If there's anything, last thing you want the audience to know or say?
I think we've covered all the important stuff. It's been a blast, and it's nice and succinct and fast. And I'm just so thrilled to be actually connected with Pagan World TV now.
Well, thank you. And we'll be doing more. I think this is a lot of the areas we're exploring next year. If you have any ideas, feel do. And happy Yule, everybody. And remember, go out and shop in the community. It really makes a difference to everybody. And thank you, Alexander, for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Ed. I appreciate the chance.